tonight we're going to be sharing some information all around tuition fees and payments. And I know everybody is excited about that. I'm assuming there's probably a lot of other family members on this webinar tonight, because I know when I'm talking to students generally don't ask this information, but it's the family members that always want to know all these deadlines and details and how they can make payments. So we're really excited to jump into this shortly. Before we get started, however, I want to introduce you to our host this evening, who's going to be joining us on this webinar.
I'll start us off here. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. My name is Melissa Jackson, and I am the Recruitment and Events Coordinator in undergraduate recruitment at Lakehead. I'm also an alumna of Lakehead, and this evening, I'll be in the background monitoring that Q&A that Tori had mentioned. So please feel free to put any questions or comments you might have into that feature, and I will be looking into that all evening long for everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. And my name is Tori White. I'm the Senior Recruitment Coordinator for the Office of Undergraduate Recruitment. I'm now the mom of an alumni, because up to a couple of weeks ago, my son was still a registered student at Lakehead University, completing his second degree, but officially, fingers crossed, as far as he told me, he did complete all of the requirements to his degree and has convocated. It did happen actually this past Saturday. So I've loved going through this journey of him experiencing Lakehead as a student and as a Lakehead mom and family member. I love that because it allows me to actually engage with students and connect with students and their families as they go through similar pathways and stuff as well. I'm going to hand it over to our other hosts this evening.
Thanks, Tori. Hello, everyone. My name is Quinn. I am a Student Central professional. You may have already interacted with me in the past or one of my colleagues at Student Central. So we're here to help students from the applicant phase as you're applying, figuring out course registration, and then when it comes to academic advising as you're a student, if you have questions about what courses to take or questions about documents you need for certain activities, we can help you with all of that, all the way up until graduation. And then we also help you with financial aid as well. And that's what I'll be focusing on today. So any questions about provincial financial aid, like OASP, or if it's another province, as well as anything about scholarships, awards, and bursaries, I'm here to help. So yeah, my name was Quinn, and I've been in Student Central for 2 years now. I was previously a Lakehead alumni, graduated from the Honors Bachelor of Commerce program in Thunder Bay. So hopefully some of you are going to be going into that program as well, as I have nothing but great things to say about it. Obviously, I'm still here. So I had a great time, definitely had a great influence on me, and it's great to be able to help students as they make their way through the same journey.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I am the Accounts Receivable Officer in the Accounts Office at LU. In the Accounts Office, we help with all student-related questions and concerns regarding tuition fees, ancillary fees, refunds, tax receipts, and much more.
Oh my goodness, here I go. I've already started talking and forgot to mute myself. I did unmute myself, but obviously I wasn't clicking fast enough. It's a little hot and sticky in my bedroom this evening where we're presenting from, and my hands got a little sticky, so I do apologize for that. Before we get much further, we want to learn a little bit about who is joining us this evening as well. So we're just going to launch a series of polls. We're not going to leave these up for very long. Please feel free to answer the questions. We'd love to learn a little bit more about our audience this evening, where you're attending from, where you're viewing from, just to see who is attending this webinar this evening. So we're just going to give a couple more seconds to get a few answers. That's great to see you guys all alert and happy and answering polls quickly this evening. Wow, it's still going up there. Great engagement to everyone who's on the webinar this evening. I'm going to end that one. I'm going to share those results so you can see kind of who we've got on with us this evening. So lots from the Simcoe County and the Thunder Bay region, from the GTA, from other areas within Ontario, and then also from Canada. So that is fantastic. Now we want to do another one, and we're going to see let's do what have you most recently graduated from? So let us know if you're coming from high school, college, university, or other. You guys are so great. This is how we make sure there's actually someone out there listening to us talk. We do these presentations all the time, and we talk for an hour or so, and we're hoping everyone is still sat at the computer listening to us. So this is fantastic that you're engaging with us. So just give that one another couple of seconds to see if we can get a few more answers. Don't be shy. Let us know where you're coming from. All right, so I'm going to end that one, and I'll share those results as well. So we can see a lot of our audience this evening is from high school, a few college and university, and other as well. So that's fantastic. And let's see if we can do another one. So we want to see who's maybe sat with you. So do you have someone attending this webinar with you this evening? And if so, who would that be? So do you have a family or supporter there, a spouse or a partner, a friend, a pet? And I need to build another sub-question into our polls moving forward so I can find out what kind of pet you got, because that most interests me when we're doing these webinars, or if you're attending by yourself. I'll just give this one a few more seconds. Don't be shy. Let us know who's out there. And if you went to warm up your supper, that's okay. You can, we'll let that one go. All right, so we're going to share that. So lots of supporters out there. That's fantastic. Those of you that are attending by yourself, great as well. Lots of ways to get great information this evening. And we'll do one more. And we just want to check and see where you're at in the application process, whether you're still exploring, applied and received an offer, or you've accepted. Wow, I love those accepted numbers going right up there. We know we have passed a lot of our deadlines for accepting offers. We know some people are still exploring post-secondary, still are making decisions on kind of where you're going to go, but that's great that so many of you are kind of checking things out, and a lot of you have already decided that Lakehead University is your university of choice for the fall. So that is fantastic. And I'm just going to share those quickly out as well. Awesome. So we're gonna just touch on a couple of things before we get started. And the first thing we want to talk about is our fall delivery. So our planned fall delivery for September 2021. So as we start to prepare, and we've been doing this for a while now for our 2021 academic year, we're confident that we'll be able to safely return to our campuses with our signature small class size experiences delivered on campus, and return to our hands-on experiential learning opportunities, as well as a hybrid course offerings and a mixture of online and Zoom classes as well. Come what may, we're going to be ready. And we look forward to a safe and gradual return to our campuses, where you as students are going to be engaged in your learning and supported by the entire Lakehead University community. Our student services teams, as long as our residence life, our athletics teams, are actively planning and preparing to provide you with an exceptional student experience with in-person support and activities, as well with some continuous remote learning opportunities. Our food services will be open for students, and study spaces will be available. And as additional details come available, we're committed to sharing these with you. Our academic units are really actively planning right now for our 2021-2022 timetable. We're not covering timetables or registration or any of that stuff this evening, but rest assured, we're getting that all planned and in place right now. And there will be further details made available to you. We did open up FastPass last week, and so there's a lot of pre-registration information already available on the website. For further information, please do continue to check your Lakehead University email account, as information will be provided through email. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by talking a little bit about tuition support, the ways that Lakehead University can actually support you through scholarships, bursaries, and awards program, as well as some information about OASP. So I'm going to turn it over to Quinn to provide this information.
Awesome. Thanks, Tori. Yeah, so Lakehead has a lot of different funding sources that are available. Some of the sources have already passed their deadlines, so you can't apply for them anymore. But this page right here shows everything that's still available. So we have our entrance scholarships that you're automatically assessed for when you apply. So there's no application required. And that is for any high school student who's entering Lakehead, or if you've been entering Lakehead within 2 years of finishing high school and haven't been to any other post-secondary institution, you would also be assessed for this scholarship. And so the first round is currently in the midst of being processed right now. And then we have another round coming up in July once all of your final high school grades are in, when your guidance counselors send them to us. So that's one of the main sources of funding. It's up to free tuition, but there's many different brackets depending on your grades. And we'll be looking at the top 6 grade 12 U or M credits. We also have entrance athletic scholarships for varsity athletes. So that's up to $4,500. You can connect with your coach about that, or connect with Lakehead Athletics, and they will be able to explain more information if you're interested, if you haven't already connected with them about that. We also offer an entrance and travel bursary. So this bursary, unlike the scholarships, is based off of purely financial need. So it doesn't matter what your grades are, you may still be eligible. It's for students who are coming out of high school. And the entrance bursary is based on financial need, up to $1,500. The travel bursary is for students who are traveling to a campus at least 700 kilometers away from their residence. For example, if you're living with a parent coming to Lakehead 700 kilometers away, you would be eligible for this travel bursary, and that's up to $800. So combined, $2,300 worth of funding that you do have to apply for. There's a separate application, and the application is available on your My Info account in the applicant tab. So look under the heading that says phase 2 in the applicant tab, and there'll be the link to this entrance and travel bursary. It's one application for both bursaries. We also offer transfer awards and transfer and mature student bursaries. So I know a few of you had said that you were not coming directly out of high school. These are for you. So these transfer awards and bursaries are for students who are coming from another university or college and are applying to Lakehead. So they're both up to $1,000, and the applications can also be found on your My Info account under the applicant heading, or under the applicant tab in the heading phase 2. So take a look. The application deadlines for these 3 bursaries, the entrance, transfer, and the mature student bursary, are all due on June 30th. So you have a few more weeks, but it's coming up quick. So feel free to apply right away. And we'll also have additional funding becoming available for current students. So once you accept your offer, register for classes, the funding does not stop there. Lakehead has a lot more awards and bursaries available to you, and these will be available on a program called My Awards. Using the same login information as your My Info account, and it will become active to you on August 15th this year. So after August 15th, you can log on to your My Awards account and see what other awards and bursaries you would be eligible for. It varies every year. It's based off of financial need. It's based off of what program you're in. It's based off of some grades, typically in the later years. And so I've seen as times where someone logs in and they're eligible for 60 different awards and bursaries that they can apply for. Doesn't mean you'll get them all, but there's a lot of options there. So take a look. And that opens August 15th. The majority of them will close in the middle of October. And this happens every single year. So every year you're a Lakehead student, you'll be able to log on to My Awards in the middle of August and apply for funding that is meant for current students. So we're financially supporting you throughout your entire journey at Lakehead. In addition to all of the awards and scholarships and bursaries that we offer students, we also have other sources of funding. One really key one that I always would recommend is our work-study program. So I don't know about you when you're in high school, if you have a job this year, trying to make it through, your bosses always want you to work more, you want to focus on your studies. can get a little bit stressful. And that's one of the reasons the work study program is so great, is because it has a capped number of hours every week at 10, and you're working right on campus. So you have a lot of really great opportunities for fun jobs in Student Central, helping us. You can get involved in recruitment as a tour guide. You can work in events with helping plan for the different events on campus as an event coordinator or within that section, working with student accessibility services. There are so many different opportunities to get involved on campus, get some work experience, and you never have to worry about having to work more than you want. 10 hours a week is typically what we would recommend while balancing a full-time course load, and this program is designed for that. So you get a lot of great connections, you get to make a bunch of money while you're at school, and often these jobs can turn into summer jobs over the summer. And so there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of people in Student Central have even gotten hired afterwards from being student workers. So lots of really great opportunities there if you're interested. Those applications will be posted in August, and feel free to apply. Another really popular source of funding I'm going to touch on is OSAP. So I noticed that most of you are from Ontario, so I'll go into in-depth discussion about OSAP, as it's something that everyone's going to be applying for, and it's a little bit complicated to figure out if you haven't done it before. I did see there were at least 2 people who were outside of the province who were applying. So unless you're an Ontario resident, you would not be applying for OSAP for provincial funding. Instead, you'd have to apply for your province's funding. So whether you live in PEI or Manitoba, you'll have to connect with your province, and then they'll guide you in terms of what you need to do to fill out the application. But since the majority of us are from Ontario, I'll focus on OSAP here. So the Ontario Student Assistance Plan, or OSAP, is a mix of funding. It has a mix of grants and loans. So grants are money that you don't have to pay back after you graduate. It's free money that you can keep and use to help fund your education at Lakehead. And then there is also loans as well, and these loans you will have to pay back after you graduate. You do have the option of saying, I only want grants. So I know some people will say, oh, I don't want any loans, I'm not going to apply to OSAP. But the great thing is that you can apply to OSAP and just take the grants and don't take the loans. So there's really no harm in applying to OSAP every single year to see what you get that year. I should note that OSAP is supplemental funding. So this is a really common misconception that some students will make, is they will expect that OSAP's going to fund 100% of my costs, all of my living expenses, all of my tuition costs. And while it will often do that, it's not guaranteed. It is not how the program is designed. So it is meant to help you financially, but not pay for everything. So OSAP does expect students to contribute some of their own money towards their education. Currently, it's set at $3,600 each year. There are reviews that you can do with Student Central if you don't have that money. I know it's been tough to get summer jobs this year with COVID still kind of happening. So connect with us if you're concerned about that, as well as parental income can also have a really big effect on how much OSAP will provide students. And there are, again, reviews that students can do with Student Central if their parents' income was not as high as it was last year due to CERB and different benefits. So if you see anything wonky with OSAP, connect with us. But I just wanted to make sure that it was understood that it is supplemental funding by design. So you will still be expected to pay some money yourself. The application for OSAP is currently open. So you can apply right now for this upcoming September. And so here's a basic list of what to do. You'll want to log on to your OSAP account and create an account if you haven't had one in the past. When applying to OSAP, you'll need some information about your school, basically just Lakehead University and the program you're going into. If you sync with OUAC, as OSAP does offer that option, oftentimes the program you'll see is going to be wrong because for whatever glitch, it's happened every single year. We get questions about it all the time. I don't know the exact reasoning, but I do know oftentimes if you're like in a biology program, OSAP will say, oh, you're in French. Okay, well, here's the funding for that. Don't be alarmed. It happens every year, and Lakehead will fix this when we confirm your enrollment. Or if you want us to fix it a little bit earlier, then you can always just send us a quick email at Student Central and just say, hey, can you fix my program? And we'll do that. So just don't be alarmed if you see that. It's totally fine. We'll fix it. You would also need your social insurance number and your parent and spouse's SIN number if you're married, and your tax information from last year. So OSAP's going to be asking for your and your parents' tax information from 2020. And then from there, once you log into your OSAP account and create an application, it'll basically break down exactly what you need to submit in terms of documents. Typically, it's a few signature pages, just understanding the terms and conditions of OSAP, as well as completing what's called a Master's Student Financial Assistance Agreement. And so this Master's Student Financial Assistance Agreement is not just for master's students. As an undergraduate, you'll be completing it too. And this document is basically a contract with OSAP that outlines any conditions of the loan if you're receiving one, and things like that. So it's an important document that you'll need to complete. And we provide a little bit more information that you would need when you complete it. And then the final step after that, you've submitted your OSAP application, you've submitted all of your outstanding documents. Now it gets to course registration, the fun part. So Lakehead will have more information about the courses that are being offered this upcoming September and winter at the last week of June. And then you'll get an email saying this is your registration date. Registration opens up in July. It's different for different students. So you'll get the email saying what your registration date is. And then once you register for courses, Lakehead will confirm your enrollment at the end of August when we're allowed to. So you have a little bit of time over the summer to plan your registration, move your schedule around, and then Lakehead will lock all of that in around the last week of August. All right, so we have a lot of different questions that come up with OSAP. So I wanted to address a few here. One is RESPs. Your parents or some of your grandparents may have created an RESP for you. RESPs are not required. You're not required to report them as income during the application process when they're withdrawing RESPs to use towards your education. Scholarships and awards. So if you receive a scholarship from Lakehead University, you do not want to report that to your OSAP application because Lakehead's going to report it for you. So if you're receiving an entrance scholarship, for example, don't put that income as your grants that you're receiving during your study period because Lakehead's going to tell OSAP that as well. And if you put it then OSAP will think you've made double the amount of grant money you've actually made. And that could affect your OSAP funding. So just leave everything from Lakehead blank. The only time you would be reporting any grants you've earned would be if you're applying to a scholarship or an award that is outside of Lakehead. So sometimes if your parent has, if their employer has some sort of grant that they offer parents to students that Lakehead's not involved with, that would be the kind of income you'd want to report if you're receiving that during your study period. And the final thing I'll mention, as it does come up a lot, and it's a little bit confusing, is if your parents are divorced or separated, how do you report parental income? So OSAP will always ask for parental income, but if your parents are divorced or separated, you would report the parent who holds primary custody. So it typically is the parent you're living with, but you can have a conversation with them about that. And if you're living with two parents who both have equal custody, you would be reporting the income of the parent who you last lived with before you left to go to school. This also comes up where if your parent has remarried or is in a common law relationship, how do you report income? And so in this case, you would be reporting the parent that you're living with, their income, and you would also be reporting their partner's income, whether that's a newly married spouse or a common law partner. So in that case, your other birth parent would not have their income information on the OSAP application. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions or if it's a little bit unclear, certainly reach out to us with Student Central and we can work with you depending on your specific case.
Awesome. We have a couple of questions, Quinn, just kind of around scholarships, bursaries, awards, and OSAP. So we're just going to pause this for a second and answer a few of those live before we move on to the payment part of the webinar this evening. So one is from an individual that has applied for scholarships and bursaries, external scholarships and bursaries, and doesn't know at this point whether or not they're going to receive that scholarship money. So just wondering how that would be reported on the OSAP application, because it's actually not confirmed funds at these times.
Great question. This often happens. So only report the income that you 100% know you're receiving. And then if it turns out later on that, oh, you actually are receiving this income, reach out to Student Central and let us know, hey, I actually just got approved for this new bit of grant money that's coming in October, for example. And then we'll update your OSAP application for you. It could potentially affect your funding, but there's so many variables, it's really hard to say, but that's the basics. Only report stuff that is 100% coming, and then you are able to make changes later on by contacting Student Central.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a question here, if I can cut in, Tori. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Quinn. We have someone who they're having trouble finding the entrance travel bursary application. So it should be in their My Info, correct?
Yeah, so it'll be under the applicant tab in My Info, and it is under the heading that says Phase 2. And at the bottom of Phase 2, there's going to be a link that says, I believe it says Apply to Financial Aid. Then underneath that, there's 3 different bulletin points, and each of them are a link to the application for the 3 different bursaries we discussed. So if you click that link, it'll bring you to the application itself.
Thank you.
You can keep going, Melissa.
Oh, I didn't have them up, sorry.
No, okay, so I'll keep going then. So we had a
okay.
question regarding, and I don't know if you can answer this one, Quinn. We've had quite a few questions actually come through about students that are right now classified as an international student, but they've submitted paperwork to be exempt from those international fees. There's a paperwork that you need to submit and show documentation. Do you have any idea how long that takes to get processed?
So if you send that documentation to Student Central, it should be processed within 2 weeks. Basically, when we get to the email, maybe there's a bit of back and forth depending on certain situations. We might be asking you for more documentation depending on what you've provided, but it should be within a week or 2 weeks that is processed once you submit that document to us. And then it gets sent over to accounts and they'll rebill, and Jennifer will have to talk about rebilling in terms of timelines.
Awesome, thank you. Another question, and we're just going to do a couple more regarding OSAP, and we're going to move on to Jennifer then, because I want to make sure we have time to cover the tuition, how to pay the tuition and stuff as well, and we'll have some times for questions at the end as well. So just regarding bursaries, Lakehead University bursaries, do you need to include TSFAs with RRSPs if you're applying for Lakehead bursaries?
So in the application, it will break down the different investment accounts when we're asking you for your financial situation. So we do have a section for RESPs. We do have a section for RRSPs, and we also have a section for other investments. And so the TFSA would go to other investments, or if there is a section for TFSA, put it in there. I just don't quite remember what the form looks like this year, but it's broken out by different types of investments, so you can categorize accordingly.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Quinn. We're going to switch some gears now, and Quinn's going to be behind the scenes, so he'll be able to maybe answer a few of those questions that are still in the Q&A as well. And if not, we can answer them live before the end of the webinar this evening. I want to move on now and talk a little bit about fees and cover some topics on how do you know what to pay? How do you know how to pay it, and when is it due? And I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer from our Student Accounts Department to provide with that, you with that information.
Okay, so student tuition fee information. So students can check tuition fee information by viewing the schedule of academic fees online through the LU website. For the 2021 fall and winter term, which is from September 2021 to April 2022, full-time undergraduate tuition for Canadian permanent residents can range from $6,939.02 to $9,061.68. And that just completely depends on the program that you are registered in. Okay, so here is a screenshot of the schedule of academic fees tuition search tool on the website, what I was referring to in the previous slide. When searching for tuition fee information, enter in your citizenship status, academic year, campus, program, registration term, and registration status, whether that is full-time or part-time. Then click apply. The tuition fee rates for your program and student type will appear for each year level. Find your year level and the tuition fee information will be listed in the row, including your tuition fee amount, your ancillary fee amount, the total amount, as well as your first and second installment amounts. For this example, we can see the student is a Canadian permanent resident at the Thunder Bay campus in the Applied Life Sciences program for the 2021 fall-winter term in full-time studies. If this student is year one, then we can see the tuition fee amount is $5,984.51. The ancillary fees are $1,259.79, and the total fees are $7,244.30. Students can choose to pay the entire amount or in installments. For this example, the student can pay the full $7,244.30 by the fall due date, or they can pay $3,622.15 by the fall due date and $3,622.15 by the winter due date. Other fees. So other fees that a student would be charged other than tuition fees include ancillary fees. So these fees are charged to all students, whether part-time or full-time. Ancillary fees can include the computer enhancement fee, the student health and wellness fee, the sustainability fee, the Lakehead University Student Union fee, also known as the LUSU fee. These fees are for supports and services that are offered through the university. There's also a LUSU medical dental fee that is charged to all full-time undergraduate students. Students are eligible to opt out of this coverage within the opt-out period in the fall term, and that's usually in September. This fee is charged on the student account and must be paid on the student account. If you choose to opt out, then you will receive a reimbursement in October or November directly to your bank account. Another fee that is charged to all full-time undergraduate students is the LUSU bus pass fee. Students are eligible to opt out of this fee as well if they live outside of transit service or have a disability that requires alternative means of transportation. There is an opt-out period for the LUSU bus pass fee as well, which is also usually in September. Any questions regarding the opt-out process for the LUSU medical dental insurance or the LUSU bus pass can be directed to the LUSU office. Okay, so here is a screenshot of the ancillary fee breakdown for a full-time undergraduate student for the 2021 fall-winter term. The screenshot only includes a few of the ancillary fees that are charged, but you can view all ancillary fees for full-time undergraduate students by going to the schedule of academic fees on the LU website and clicking the ancillary fee breakdown link. There are two payment due dates for the fall-winter term. So the fall term payment due date is August 15th, 2021. Full-time students can choose to pay their entire balance by this date or pay their first installment. Part-time students can pay their entire balance or pay their fall and year-long course fees. The winter term payment due date is December 15th, 2021, and all remaining balances should be paid by this date. Okay, how to pay with OSAP. So students that are paying tuition fees with OSAP should always choose the installment payment option. To calculate your first installment, you can open your statement of account online through My Info and calculate 50% of your total balance, then subtract your first installment of OSAP from that amount. If you are receiving enough OSAP funding in the fall term to cover your first installment, then you do not have to pay anything by August 15th. OSAP will send your funds directly to the school to pay your installment. If your OSAP is not going to be covering your entire fall installment, then the difference must be paid by August 15th. For the second installment, open your statement of account online through My Info and subtract your second installment of OSAP from that amount. If you are receiving enough OSAP funding in the winter term to cover your second installment, then you do not have to pay anything by December 15th. If your OSAP is not going to be covering your entire installment, then the difference must be paid by December 15th. Okay. So students paying tuition fees with scholarships, bursaries, or awards have two options as well. So if you'll be paying your entire balance by August 15th, then you can deduct your entire award amount from your balance and pay the difference by August 15th. The second option is in 2 installments. So the first installment, you would deduct 50% of your scholarships and awards, 100% of your bursaries, and pay the difference by August 15th. For the second installment, deduct 50% of your scholarships and awards, 100% of your bursaries, and pay the difference by December 15th. Okay, so the OSAP tuition and aid summary. So we have a very helpful tool on My Info to assist students with calculating how much to pay for each installment. So here is an example of the OSAP tuition and aid summary for a full-time undergraduate student. If the student would like to pay in installments, then the total amount to pay is listed at the bottom of each term column. The student's tuition, ancillary fees, and residence charges are listed, and all OSAP, scholarships, bursaries, awards, student payments, and deposits are subtracted to calculate the total amount to pay for each payment due date. For example, this student should pay $8,081.55 by August 15th and $7,713.08 by December 15th. So there are some differences for tuition fees when a student registers either part-time or full-time. For full-time students, you must be registered in 4 full course equivalents or more for the fall and winter term. Full-time students are billed a flat rate tuition fee based on their program and year level. For full-time students, there are 2 payment options. You can either pay the entire balance by August 15th, or you can pay in 2 installments by August 15th and December 15th. Also, full-time students are charged the LUSU medical dental insurance and the LUSU bus pass fee upon full-time registration. And those were the fees that I had previously mentioned in a previous slide. For part-time students, tuition fees are charged on a per credit basis based on your registration in less than 4 full course equivalents. So for part-time students, there are also 2 options: pay the entire balance by the August 15th due date, or pay your fall and year-long courses by August 15th and your winter course fees by the December 15th due date. Part-time students are billed on a per course basis, therefore the refund policy and schedule apply. Okay, so just a little summary. So as previously mentioned, there are a few different ways to view your account and tuition fee information. So the statement of account is available online through My Info as a printable PDF and has a detailed breakdown of all payments and charges on the account. The My OSAP tuition and aid summary is available through My Info as well and can be used to calculate the amount to pay for each payment due date. This tool is very helpful for students receiving OSAP or awards. My account details is available through My Info and allows students to view their account activity as well as make a payment. So once you've determined the amount to pay for the payment due date, it's important to know all the payment methods available. So the most common payment method is online banking. To make a payment through online banking, you log into your online banking app and select the Pay a Bill option. Add Lakehead University as a payee and use your student number as the account number. Online banking payments usually take 1 to 2 business days to process to your student account, so don't panic if you don't see it right away. We also offer pre-authorized debit and credit card as a payment option by going to make a payment on my info. One thing to note though, the credit card payments we offer online, there is a service fee associated with those. And as of now, we are working from home. However, when we return to campus, students can also pay tuition fees with check, debit card, and cash.
Fantastic. So we are just answering a couple of questions in the Q&A in the chat. I'm going to throw one right out to Jennifer right off the get-go, and this is regarding overpayment. So we sometimes see this with students that like to side on the side of caution and actually pay more than they think they need to pay, as opposed to having a late fee for not covering all. So what happens in the situation if a student makes an overpayment?
Yeah, so if there's an overpayment on the student account, so there's a credit balance, the student can always request a refund. So when a student requests a refund, we just complete an account analysis just to make sure everything is correct. And then we always issue the refund back to the original payer. So if you were the one that made the tuition fee payment on your student account, then we would issue the refund back to you. If it was a parent or spouse or third party, then the payment would get issued by mailed check made payable to that payer.
Thank you. And we have a couple of Lakehead Georgian students attending this evening as well. And there's just some general questions around deadlines for students from Lakehead Georgian. And so they timetable with us, and just some questions whether or not the same payment processes and deadlines apply to them.
Yes, yep. For Lakehead Georgian students, yep, same payment due dates and processes and everything applies.
Yeah, so Lakehead Georgian students actually register through our timetabling system. So it creates their accounts on our My Info. And so as a result, anything that Jennifer and Quinn has provided you this evening outside of the Lakehead specific scholarships would apply to you as a Lakehead Georgian student. Okay, so Melissa, is there, I have
another one here. Someone asking if I'm wanting grants but not loans through OASP, is using a parent's bank account okay?
This would be a question for Quinn.
Sorry, Quinn, you might have been in the middle of typing one too, so I'm...
Oh, no, that's no problem. Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about when you are submitting the Master's Financial Assistance Agreement, OASP will ask for a bank account. To be honest, the bank account you're putting on that document should be one that you control, because the money that's put in there, that's going to be the primary way that OASP will give you money. And so you want it going to a bank account you own. And when OASP takes money out, they're going to be taking it out of that account directly without your involvement. They're just going to pluck that money right out. And so I know you're only getting grants, so that might not be an issue right now, but things do change. And so I would heavily advise not doing that. I did do some Googling after I saw your original question. I believe it's the same person, or someone asked about putting their parents' bank account on their MSFA agreement. I couldn't find anything online that says it must be your account, but I would definitely read the fine print on that one and ask the NSLSC for clarification, because I would be very, I wouldn't endorse it. Let's say that. I would say contact the NSLSC to make sure that's okay, as there's a lot of things that could go really wrong by not putting a bank account that you control on that form.
Okay, thank you. And then I have another one here asking if I don't deduct a scholarship / award from the first installment, will it carry over for me to use on the second installment?
Yes, so if a student wants to pay their entire first installment amount and not deduct any awards from it, that's fine. The award will just get processed onto the student account in September, and then that amount will just be less that they'll have to pay for the winter term.
Perfect, thank you.
We have a student that's been having some issues making payments. I'm not too sure how they're making this payment. One way to make payments towards tuition and residence, which you actually wouldn't have on your account at this point. So the fees for fall and winter and our res fees have not actually been applied to accounts yet, unless you're an incoming engineering transfer student or a student that's starting with us this spring and summer. Is that correct, Jennifer, with that information?
Yeah, so the summer term, so summer transition students would have billing on their account if they are actively registered in the summer term. There has not been any billing for the fall winter term yet, no.
Yeah, so our fall and winter timetable is not available yet, and it's actually registering and enrolling for those classes that creates the invoice or the billable amount on your invoice. And so that's not available yet, and we haven't actually billed for residents. So I'm not too sure if this individual is an incoming student for the fall. Trying to find that information, it's not available. Jennifer did go through a lot of ways that you can make those payments. Online banking is a really popular way to make your tuition. You can use your ID number as the account number. The individual said they've left a couple of messages. I'm not too sure who you've been leaving messages with. Please do be patient with Student Central. If you're calling Student Central, they receive a high number of phone calls and emails on a daily basis, and they will call you back. The accounts department, which Jennifer works in, actually works really closely with students for students billing. And can we give out your email address, Jennifer? Accounts, can we?
Yeah, accounts@lakeheadu.ca. Yeah, for sure. If you have any questions regarding your student account, definitely send us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Yeah. So if you have some questions, you're trying to figure out how much you need to pay, when you need to pay it, accounts@lakeheadu.ca. So that's awesome. The student has confirmed it's a confirmation deposit they're trying to pay. That typically is paid through My Info. Jennifer, is that something the student can reach out to the accounts department to get some clarification on?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend emailing accounts@lakeheadu.ca because we can go in and see what the possible issue is and help on an individual basis.
And I do know I've helped some students with some payments in the past, and sometimes it's a browser issue that seems to be causing problems for My Info. So what you might want to try either later tonight or tomorrow is try a different browser. Sometimes the browser causes problems with the payment feature through My Info. You get to a certain point and then you just get blank screens and you can't get any further. All right.
Yeah. Oh, I have another question here that someone had mentioned. I see it's come up a few times, so I'd like to answer it live about RESPs and how to get the confirmation of enrollment, which is the document that you'll need to present your bank when you're accessing them. So they'll need to know that you're enrolled in Lakehead. And so Lakehead has this document. It's available to you on your My Info account, but it's not quite available yet. So once you register for courses in July, then you'll be able to download this PDF document, which is called the Confirmation of Enrollment or Verification of Enrollment Letter. The link to it is in the Student tab in My Info, which all of you won't have yet, unless you've been a student at Lakehead in the past. But in July, when you're eligible to register for courses, that tab will appear. And then you can get that document and give it to your bank so that they can release the RESP. It's a good question. It comes up a lot, so hopefully that can clarify that.
Yeah, and that's a great one because students often think they have to wait for Student Central to provide that letter for, and it actually creates it automatically once you're registered for classes. You get that PDF right as soon as you request it. So great access to information there. Awesome. We're just going to pause the questions for a second. It doesn't mean you can't keep asking questions. We're just going to provide you a little bit more information, and then we'll pause again before we shut things down for this evening to answer any other questions you might have. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa to do some close-in information.
Sure, thanks, Tori. So, once you are a student, and we are just so looking, forward to welcoming you this fall to our campuses. But once you're a student, our Student Central staff are here to help you. Student Central is that one-stop shop for many of the services and advising needs that you'll use as a student. And I know Quinn mentioned some of those earlier, and they're with you from like day one and all the way up to graduation. So please make sure that you reach out and utilize them. They are cross-trained in all the areas that you can ever imagine that you might need assistance in. And we just want to say it's been great sharing with you how much we love Lakehead University, but now it's your turn to see it for yourself. One of the best ways for you to experience Lakehead is to come visit us for a campus tour. And with the current situation, we have been unable to offer those in-person tour experiences, but we are working hard at creating safe in-person tour experience, hoping a little later this summer. So please keep your eye on our website for more details and updates with that. We really miss having you on campus and being able to show you around in person. But until then, be sure to visit us virtually by visiting our website, and you can sign up for our live virtual campus tours. And we do run them twice a week at each campus. So for our Aurelia campus and our Thunder Bay, and they are guided live by your recruitment team, staff, and some even current student ambassadors as well. So make sure to check that out. And then we just have some important dates here for you to mark down on your calendars or take a screenshot of this slide if you got your phone out. So you can see those June 1st deadlines that have passed to accept your offer, to confirm and pay that deposit, and then also to apply for residence and pay that deposit as well. However, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tori, if you haven't applied for residence because you didn't think that you were going to be staying in residence, you are still able to get that application. There is still room in our residences.
That is correct. So
yeah, if if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have, some in-person classes now that that is happening, please still check that out and make sure you apply to get into our residence. And then you have that residence payment deadline on August 15th. Same with that first tuition payment deadline that we talked about earlier. And then course registration is going to open soon. So late June, early July. So when that timetable gets released at the end of June, you'll be able to start your course registration shortly after that. And then you're going to move into residence in September 2nd, first day of classes, September 7th. We can't wait to see everyone on campus. And then before you know it, you got your first fall study break, October 11th, and then that second tuition payment deadline coming up at that December 15th there. And just a reminder that, this is just the beginning. And while our time together today is coming to an end, we want to stay in touch with you and help you through your next steps. So please also stay in touch with us directly. We are here to help. We would love to hear from you, answer any questions you may have, and keep you updated. So, I know sometimes we leave a webinar and we think, oh, I didn't get this question answered, or I forgot to answer, reach out to us directly. We have our recruit@lakeheadu.ca email address. I know Jennifer shared her account ones as well. And we always have our student central at lakeheadu.ca as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. We are here to help. And I see that Tori just popped those into the chat for you. So that's great. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon. I'm not sure if there are any other questions that came in there while I was talking, but if you have any other questions, we're here still for a couple minutes.
I'm just going to let Quinn is typing quickly, and so I don't want to shut everything down while he's in the middle of providing a answer to that. For those of you that attended right to the bitter end, thank you so much. As we mentioned, we will be posting this webinar on the Lakehead YouTube channel. We're hoping to get it all formatted and up and available tomorrow or the following day. So it will be available later on this week. You can go back and actually review all of our webinars that we've hosted over the past spring and in the fall semester as well to get some more information. We had one that we did a couple of weeks ago. So please do check out the YouTube channel if you missed some of the webinar this evening or you want to kind of review things that we've covered tonight. So we just have a couple of questions on the go. I'm just leaving them to Jennifer and Quinn to post some last minute responses. Thanks, Quinn.
And I just want to mention too, you can see here all of our social channels. So make sure you go check those out. Give us a follow at My Lakehead. We always are posting upcoming different events and things happening on those channels as well.
Yeah, and please do further engage and connect with us. We did provide a bunch of information this evening, as well as some contacts for connecting with us in the future. So if there's something you missed or you'd want some further information on, please drop us an email. If we are not the individual that can answer that question, we'll make sure that we can connect you with the right individual. Awesome. I think that is it for us this evening. And I did see there was a post about the academic calendar. Quinn, how quick are you at typing?
Oh, I'm pretty quick here.
Or do you want to just answer that one live?
I think so. Yeah, that'll probably be easiest here.
So the questions regarding the undergraduate calendar was actually posted on June the 1st for 2021. And they're saying they don't see all their necessary courses. It's probably because it says electives. You can pick electives, some type A, type B, type C. I would think maybe what they're talking about. So we're not going to cover a ton of information about course registration. We have FastPass coming up, but Quinn, maybe if you just want to just comment on it quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Without having more information, I will just have to give a general answer, but I do know that the academic calendar can change from year to year. Our programs are constantly updating with the continue to be relevant to you as a student. And so if you were basing your idea on what courses to take based off of last year's calendar, and all of a sudden you see these courses that it's asking you to take are different, that would be why the program just did a changeover. For this year. That could be why it's different, but without more information, it's hard to say. So connect with us at Student Central if you have concerns, and we can go through it with you. And
register for a FastPass session. There are so many amazing FastPass sessions available, and that's actually to help you with course registration. Awesome. That is it, guys. We want to thank everyone for attending this evening. I'd like to thank our panelists and our co-hosts for all of the information shared with everyone. We look forward to welcoming you to campus this September. Thanks so much, guys.